Welcome to Divorce Diaries Show podcast. I am Michelle Trina, the creator of Divorce Diaries, and today I'm so excited because I have a dear friend, a fellow actor, funny as F human being, and good person, Mark Primiano.
Hi, what's going on?
Mark has been on the podcast before, and he's been a part of Divorce Diaries as just a fucking writer. He's now an executive producer of the pilot. He's just amazing. And Mark and I met, I think, 6 years ago when Doug was getting married. My best friend Doug, which we all have heard of, right? That's when we first met.
We all have heard of it, I think. Yes. Yeah, that's when we first met. Yes, that's true. In Las Vegas. That's correct.
In Las Vegas.
And then we met again at the wedding in Connecticut.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. And it's been such a wacky year with COVID, and I think that the beauty of
so freaking that's how the doctors described it. Wacky. Right? Mm-hmm.
So Mark makes me laugh very hard. And he and I have done a bunch of he's always been there to kind of bounce off ideas with Divorce Diaries and just in general sketches, and is always kind of a go-to person. So you're a great human, you're a very creative, very insightful, creative, and fucking funny. And then he's also Mr. Hannon in the pilot.
And also, by the way, back to before the character, I'm also divorced as a real person.
Thank you for bringing that up. He is divorced, yes. And initially, that is how Doug introduced you to me. He told me, he's like, my friend Mark is divorced. So I was like,
right.
Oh.
So you guys can share stories.
Right.
Exactly. But you turned it into diaries, which was crazy.
Doug said, well, okay. So Mark plays Mr. Hannon in the pilot. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the pilot and your experience with it, and things that you were surprised of, and things that you really enjoyed, and things that you were like, what the fuck, that you didn't expect. So first of all, can you tell everybody about who Mr. Hannon is in the pilot?
He is well, in the context of, from your point of view, he is just a non-responsive, just sort of he's just sort of, you're not even on his radar, and it's like he's just basically living his life, and you're just a gnat to him. Your character is just a gnat to him. It's just like a pain in his like other plans. So but he's like he thinks he's important, but he doesn't like to do his job. He just sort of, deflects like any work and passes it on to somebody else. He's kind of I think we don't find it out in the actual thing we shot, but he's a little bit of, well, I guess we do a little bit, but he's a little bit of a womanizer, and he's married, but he's possibly a philanderer.
He's a principal too, by the way. He's a school
principal of the school. Yeah.
And and he might be a philanderer. So I wrote episode 2, and I made him, I did a Save the Cat scene. Have you ever read that book, Save the Cat?
The writing, the screenwriting book. Yeah.
I did a little scene where he saves the day a little bit to kind of make him a little bit more not
in the thing we shot.
No, I wrote episode 2 for the series.
Because I was like, what? I don't remember acting me saving the day or anything. But he hides from his work, like he doesn't want to do work, but he carries himself like he's he's on top of it. So it's like he's a fraud basically, also on another level. So
what was your favorite part about playing him, or did you have a favorite part about playing him? I hope.
I enjoy, there's people in my life like that person, like him. So I enjoy, having a chance to, show those people off, like say like, oh yeah, remember this guy? And you sort of like, remember that guy we used to work with that did this thing? Yeah. That's what this guy's like. Remember so and so? Yeah, he's a little like him. And then you know, it's not all one person or anything, but it's people that I know, and it's fun. It's fun, you know, making fun of somebody that exists in your life. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like he's a combination of a bunch of bosses of mine, and
That's how you wrote it.
yeah. And also, like, working in a school, I think that the Mr. Hannon character is stressed the F out, because my intention was to show that he's got a lot of pressure coming from above, so he just kind of hides. And then he kind of puts that on his teachers. And I feel like when I was doing it, that's how it always felt. And you did an awesome job in it. I can't wait for people to see it. What was your favorite? Everybody filmed one day except Doug and I. What was your most surprised part of the day, would you say?
Surprise part of the day?
Yeah, like, what were you most surprised about that day?
That day. I don't know. I mean, it was like very I thought the school was amazing. I remember going in and thinking like, wow, this is a great, I wish I'd gone to this school when I was a kid. I mean, I liked my school, but it wasn't that big, and it just like, I feel I was blown away by that auditorium in the school. I was like, wow, what is this is for children's productions. It was just a really nice school.
Cedar Grove High School.
But I was impressed with how tight the group was that was producing, like working it and running around. It was only like 5 people really behind the scenes, like not playing parts, that were, you know, basically doing all the behind the scenes stuff. And it was pretty tight. I mean, that was what that was what was impressive to me. And you had only been working on it like maybe 2 days when I had gotten there. One day before I got there. So, you know, I mean, it was just a lot of good, you know, communication, and like people that knew what they were doing. And, you know, I was, you know, for a skeleton crew, it was pretty tight, you know.
That makes me so happy to hear that, because that was hard. We weren't sure how that was going to come together, because prior to that, a couple of weeks before, I didn't have everybody together. You know, I was going through a change of director and a director of photography. So there was a lot of stuff that had to come together. So I appreciate.
There was even a part where I think the one person left in the middle of our day, and then somebody else just took over for them, and it was fine.
Dave had to leave.
Yeah.
Dave had to leave.
Remember that.
Dave.
No. Dave. We knew Dave the whole time was only going to be there for a short time, but no, there was a female.
Candy, my cousin.
Right. And then she left like halfway, and then somebody just took over for her, and it was kind of seamless.
Oh no, wait. Wait, was it?
It was Candy. You're right. It was.
She had to go pick, and the thing was, there was like, so this is what I came up with and I loved the day at the school, because those were some of my favorite scenes to shoot with you and Chris and Doug, although Doug talked about how he was really not needed on set as much. And I understand having him there was great, because I love, you guys are my friends, and working together was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'll tell you what my favorite part was. So we were all the people waiting to do their scenes were hanging in the lab that day.
Yeah.
That's where you had us, like in our holding area was like, I think it was like a chemistry lab.
Yeah.
So we were all kind of getting to know each other, and we were all like going over like, let's figure out what we're going to do with our scenes. And one of the guys, the Mr. Gomez guy, we found out that like he's in like 2 scenes with me, but he has no lines. But yet I was referring to him in the scene. You were referring to him in the scene, but he wasn't allowed to speak. So it was just like, you know, and the guy he's to me, he was he didn't want to be an actor, but he was a pretty good actor, you know, to me anyway. So we were like laughing about that, the fact that like we were both, that you would say like, listen, this guy's always been my problem, and like whatever it was, and you were like getting in his face, and he never responds, and I'm like speaking on his behalf. I'm going like, you know, listen, he's upset, but he never spoke. And it was like, it was to me, it was like, you know, not a writing mistake. It was actually, it made us laugh about it so much that when we actually shot the scene, like, and we were doing improv, we were just like, by that point, it was like, no, don't, it'll go off. No, it's like, and like finding reasons to not let him speak, but acting like he's just like a bull in a china shop. And all the scenes he's sitting there going like, like just disapproving. And I'm like, listen, you've upset him. No, listen, I got this. No, Mr. Gomez, no, you shouldn't speak. You don't waste your energy on this. Whatever the reason was. And it just became this running joke. And he was like, he was really, I thought he could have done as many lines as he wanted and done them pretty well.
So that I think is so beautiful because in real life, Brian, I met him last minute through another comic friend because I was needed Mr. Gomez. And I did originally have lines for Mr. Gomez, but they were cut. And his character came about because I used to have colleagues like that would get mad at me for small things like, oh, you moved my bookshelf. And I would do the same thing to them, but like they would get mad because my cart was in the way or something silly. So he represented that. But I loved that because you remember you telling me the day after, like, yeah, so we're going to do this whole thing. And a lot of the footage that didn't make it.
But I think there was even a scene where there was like a group of teachers sitting around the table, yes, and they're all giving insight about what they think about you. And he's the only one that doesn't speak in that scene. Like everyone, like he just sits there and goes, and it's like, and it's almost become a joke at this point. It's like, it's just, like, I don't know if anyone would ever pick it up, but I did because we were hanging out in that lab for hours. So it was like, oh, and then the local New Jersey pizza was pretty amazing also that day.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't, we live in the West Coast. So like there is decent pizza out here, but it's not even close.
There's a place. Oh, sorry, God.
That was a treat. Was
I'm so glad. Well, this is awesome. So you shared a lot of helpful information for our listeners, for people who follow the show to understand a little bit more about the pilot, because this has kind of been like a waiting period now of like submitting to films, getting meetings, seeing what the next step is. What do you think? Was there something you were surprised about? Like, so Mark has been in the creative process, with me on this for the last couple of years, and he's known, you've seen me progress with Divorce Diaries. What, in your opinion, was there anything that surprised you about the filming, or you were like, oh, or maybe this could happen, or was there anything surprising? And there may not be, but
I no, I wouldn't say surprised, but I was impressed by your ability to channel the lines that were written in a very organic way, because it's you wrote for yourself like a lot of rambling things, like, but that's who you are,
Yeah.
or who you're trying to be in this. So it's like on paper that made total sense. Yeah. But I thought when we got to the set and we were shooting, you never know, maybe that'll go out the window and you're like actually reading the lines and forgetting that it's like totally easy for you to be this way.
Yeah.
But no, you were like still rambling as if it was you, like, and it didn't even sound like you were reading lines. It was like sort of like as if you were thinking it, and those were the actual lines. And then there was also like, I was a little surprised by, we would finish a scene and you would immediately get on your phone and like go, oh, so-and-so is going to be late. Like, so you were doing like I was against you doing this, but yeah, you were producing in between yeah, shots. And I felt like it was a lot to juggle. But it didn't really affect anything. But it was like something that was like, is she dealing with the person that's late? Like you were trying to figure out where your kid was at one point. Yeah. Like you were like, end scene. God, can he just drop her off? It's like, I don't understand what's so hard about that. And we're all just sitting there going, what?
The fact that you remember that, I forgot that was the day where my ex-husband had to drive her back with his girlfriend, and I was doing that. And that's a good point, because I was like, literally that day I was sweating so bad. I literally stunk by the time we did the evening shots. And I was having anxiety between my mother coming over to babysit, the clothes, the producer hat, the actor hat. And we were running late in the school. So
yeah, your mother stopped by in the middle of that day also. She dropped something off.
Yes.
Give this to Michelle. All right, thank you. She was smiley. She was a smiley person. I was not doing a good impression of her that way.
Did you meet her? You met her?
Yeah, I did. She handed it to me. Whatever she handed that day, I was like, are you Mark? Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle's mother.
Yeah.
She was nicer than that. I'm not really doing a good impression. But.
No, my mom is really nice, but she was yelling at me. She's like, "Oh my God, Michelle." All right, but
she didn't seem unhappy that day at all. I'm just doing because when early stages of this, when it was like only me, you, and Doug, it was like we were reading all the parts, and I think I played your mother in about 9 of the readings. It was like, and I had never met your mother, but I was like sort of doing like a whole, like all I was doing was working off my Jersey accent combined with like my own mother probably, and just disappointment, like as the backdrop, just like oh Michelle, you just didn't. Oh my God, you just know. What are you doing? You going out like that? You look like you smacked ass. Whatever. That's smacked ass. That's something my mother would have said. You're not going to church like that. You look like you smacked ass. Go upstairs and change. You look like you smacked ass. And my mother didn't even have a New York accent.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Primiano.
Am I leaving?
No, because you're making me laugh so hard. So yes, but that's a good point. There was a lot going on that day. Mark saw me switch from hat to hat to hat, and which is basically what the show is about, that I'm always running and juggling things, right? I mean, that's not the message, but that's the thread of me always running.
Juggling, hacky sacking, whatever you were doing at the same time.
Was there anything now behind the scenes? I had invited Doug and Mark.
If you ask me the same question again, I'm gonna be really upset. Did anything surprise you?
No.
You've already asked me that 3 times. But go ahead.
I did. The last thing
I was surprised how many of the same questions I got that morning. Go ahead.
What do you hope for the future of Divorce Diaries and as part of the team, the creative team?
The future of this show, Divorce Diaries? Because Divorce Diaries is a bigger entity than just this show. So you're saying this particular show.
So
I hope that somebody, I hope that somebody sees what's so great about it. And what I like about it is that it's different. And I like that it is it's strong female character, which is, that's good. It's but it's like, the difference to me is that you are owning your problems. Like you're not trying to clean up the dirty stuff. Like you're like, you wrote it understanding how it's being perceived. That you have a problem, going wherever the shiny object is, which is, where the new guy that like gives you any attention whatsoever, sort of, you just sort of like, if he gave you attention up top, then all of a sudden it's like he's the one, and then you drop everything and you can't even see that he's treating you like shit, and that is I think a common thing with women, but I don't think it's portrayed a lot as a main character. There are some great flawed women in shows now that are leading characters, but I haven't seen this very often. I think Fleabag might be a good example of it.
There's a couple of them I've been doing some research on, but like I love that you said that, because finding ways to stick out amongst all of this content out there is hard because there's so much, but they're also looking for so much. Also focusing on the fact that like, and maybe not so much in the way we shot the proof of concept, but my daughter struggles with a special need and ADHD label. There's other kids in my school that have these labels that I wanted to focus on how that, I struggle with my own label, and I'm not diagnosed as ADHD, but I could have those tendencies. And it's like that struggle as a single parent. I've been saying to Dave, our executive producer, that it's a big part of my story that I feel like, especially now as I'm living with it a lot with my daughter, and there's humor in it. It's just like, we don't talk about it. And we don't talk about it as divorced parents of like how hard it is to raise a child, not only alone, but to raise a child who processes differently, than atypical children.
Yeah, no, we don't. But it exists everywhere.
It does.
Yeah, you got to be strong you got to put up a good image, and everything. So everything's fine. And that's the perfect mom thing. But,
yeah.
And then and then there's, it's like Facebook when people, post these wonderful things that are going on in their life, but they're sitting at home, like, in a fetal position, crying in the bathroom, like for the rest of the day.
Absolutely.
So
it's like you feel like but you know what? That's the curse of social media. I feel like it's great for business purposes, but then it's also like a downward spiral in your personal life because you look at everything that everybody's doing and you feel like, ugh, FOMO, and you feel like, am I not doing enough? I started doing that to myself last night. I was looking at another comics feed and going, oh my God, she's like 10 years younger than me and she's doing all these amazing things. I suck. And then I was like, wait, what, Michelle? That's the opposite of what you should be doing. Thinking of it, it's all relative. And trying to figure out how Divorce Diaries is like that connection for everyone, even if they're older or younger. It's like, just fucking do it, man. Don't quit, because I get pushed down a lot, I guess. And I also get my own way. I thank you so much for being a part of the creative process, for continuing to be a part of the creative process. Mark literally is the best like go-to writing partner. He's funny. He's a good friend. You're just amazing. I really, from the deep, dark depths of my heart, thank you. And he's freaking hilarious. Do you want to share anything that you're working on?
Working on right now?
Yeah.
No. This pandemic has sort of made me reconsider my options with the the whole white man. We had a good run, but it's going to be a little harder for white men to get some parts for a little while. But that's the way it is. Well, I don't feel sorry for myself, but I'm taking this opportunity to try other things.
Yeah. Well, you're amazing and you're funny, and I'm excited to see where the film, hopefully, where this pilot gets to go next, so that we can show everybody what you've done as Mr. Hannon and as part of the creative team. Because Mark, definitely you've pivoted and helped guide a lot of the direction of the editing that I didn't, when I first watched the edit, I was like, oh, I didn't even pick up on that. So it's great. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about your role in the pilot and as a part of the creative team with Divorce Diaries. And guys, stay tuned for more. Do you want to tell them where to follow you, or Mark Primiano, or?
I'd rather you didn't follow me. When I disappear from this interview, I don't want you to know where I am.
You guys always have to have a person in your life that makes you laugh, because this is great. It's cheering me up.
I'm proud of this project. It's I think regardless, it's already great, but I think there's great things in the future coming forward. So I think it's great. And it's in a place where it's about to explode better. So right. I think you're just getting started. You're just scratching the surface. So I'm proud to be part of it.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Thank
so
you.
What do I do? Do I just leave and don't follow me?
No. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Mark is going to stay right in his seat while I press pause on the record. Stay tuned for more Divorce Diaries Show podcasts and subscribe on our YouTube channel, leave a review. Mark's amazing. October 23rd, Broadway Comedy Club, November 12th and 13th, Ventura Comedy Club in California, and November 27th, Comedy Shrine in Chicago. Stay tuned for more. Happily divorced after Divorce Diaries.